Hello everyone, welcome to Christopher's Entertainment Blog. I'm your host Chris, and welcome to my review video for Arrow Season 4, Episode 17, entitled Beacon of Hope. And there is a pun in there for beacon because because this episode had a lot of bees in it. A lot of bees, a lot of the weird bee lady. Yeah. Wow guys, insane episode. This episode was probably one of the probably one of the worst episodes they've done. I actually thought it was watchable, but it wasn't the greatest. It definitely wasn't the greatest. It was very mediocre. There were a few bright spots though in the episode overall, and for me, the biggest bright spot and the most positive in this episode was Curtis. Mr. Terrific finding his way somehow miraculously down into the Arrow Cave. And that was probably my favorite scenes of the whole episode was stuff with Mr. Terrific. I thought he was terrific. I thought he was really good. I think he was the best part of the episode. It really brought a new flavor to the show. I mean, that's the way I felt anyway, is that I mean, the last time there was like a little bit of a mix up in the show, or a little bit of a new flavor introduced into the show, was when Roy left and then Thea became Speedy and helping into the group. So that was like the last time that there was actually a change up in the group, and I really felt that Mr. Terrific coming in there and then being a part of that group now in this episode, I thought was fantastic. It really changed some stuff up. It spiced it up a little bit. It was something different because we get so used to seeing the same characters week after week after week, and seeing him in there, it was different. So that was kind of cool. I really hope he comes back, even though he said at the end that he doesn't want that life. He doesn't want to be a part of it. But I have to suspect that he will be a part of the show. He's got to be, unless Felicity comes back, because I mean, who else is going to fill that computer role, the actual tech that's going to be, the hacker or whatever? Somebody's got to be in that role. So it's either Felicity or Curtis. So, and Felicity said she don't want to come back. So, yeah, I mean, I really hope he comes back. I think it's something different for a change anyway. I really liked Oliver and the team training at the beginning. I thought that was a great scene. I really liked the fact that they actually showed them actually training because we don't see that much anymore. I mean, in the early days of Arrow, you've seen Oliver on the salmon ladder doing the exercises and fighting, and training with Diggle and whatnot. And in this one, they finally, after the longest time, showed them actually training because I mean, Laurel and Thea haven't really had that much training on screen. I mean, and Laurel's is really suspect. I mean, you don't know, what type of training she had. I mean, her training is probably the weakest of all of them. At least Thea went through some training with Merlin. At least, that's what they talked about. But not much training there, really. And then Diggle's military, so that's understandable. But I really like the fact that they showed them training, and I like that Oliver beat all of them. It showed that Oliver's still the badass. He's still the best out of all of them. So I like that. I really enjoyed that scene. I really like the scenes with Thea and Felicity. I thought those were some good scenes. It was nice to see them be on screen together. I thought that was kind of cool. We don't really get to see Thea and Felicity, work together very much. I mean, it's usually Oliver and Felicity, or Mr. Terrific now and Felicity, and or whoever. But Thea and Felicity, they're not on screen very much. I thought they worked well together, so that was kind of cool. There was a lot of pop culture references in this episode. Probably maybe a little too much for a lot of people, but I thought it was kind of fun at first. The Harry Potter references was funny at the beginning, and then they started going off on this like every 5 minutes or something. They had a pop culture reference. I mean, they referenced Star Trek. I like that. That was kind of cool. The Star Trek reference, Harry Potter, My Girl, Die Hard. And I know there was probably something else in there. I mean, who knows? I mean, they were really going off on the pop culture stuff. I didn't mind. I thought it was kind of fun, but probably a little too much. They probably referenced too much. It started becoming like a parody after a while, so it was kind of weird. One of the other characters that I liked in this was Laurel. I really liked Laurel in this. Again, I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, I think she's starting. They're starting to change that character up a little bit. I mean, from the courtroom stuff. I mean, she's starting to become a really good lawyer. Her character's starting to become kind of interesting to me for a change. I mean, that's surprising. Um, it shows that maybe they're going to try to rekindle that relationship with Oliver and her because it seems different to me. It does anyway. It really does seem a little different, little strange that she's becoming more like a somebody that's there for Oliver every single time. I'm really liking the stuff with Laurel. I mean, surprisingly. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I think she was kind of good in this. So I think it would be kind of interesting if they would rekindle that relationship with Oliver and Laurel. I think that would be kind of interesting, something to change up the show again. I mean, we've had Felicity and Oliver together for so long now. I mean, I think it would be a different change of pace to let's try to change the gears up. Let's get Felicity out of there and let's bring in Curtis in the computer chair. Let's get Oliver and Laurel together. I like the idea. I think it's something different that this show needs. It's been kind of stale for a while, and I think it's time to spice some things up and change things up a little bit. So I think that's kind of cool. Um, but I did have a lot of negatives. There definitely was negatives because this was one of the weakest shows that they've ever done. Um, the villain, Brie Larvin, which is a kind of a cool name. Um, and I like the actress that plays Brie Larvin. I think she's great. She's been on some other shows, so it wasn't anything to do with her. It was like the character itself was just it's just off. I mean, it's just not interesting at all. I mean, it's kind of a throwaway villain like Cupid was last week. I like Cupid. I mean, I don't mind her, but the Brie Larvin character is just like, why is she here? It just doesn't make any sense, really. I just feel that the character is just kind of lame. I mean, there's just not much there. I just thought that the villain itself, Brie Larvin, was just not interesting at all. The other villain that the bees made was just stupid. I mean, it didn't really make any sense, and it was just weak. It didn't have no payoff, is what it was. There was just nothing there. I mean, in this whole villain, I mean, this was the quintessential filler episode. I hate to say filler, but it really was a type of a filler episode. It really was. I mean, it wasn't even a setup filler episode. I mean, it was just they just had it there to fill in the space, and that was it. I mean, it really didn't advance the story, the plot that they're actually telling at all. I mean, it just was flat the whole time. And then they made some weird decisions with Captain Lance and Curtis down in the Arrow Cave. I mean, Curtis is doing a backflip over the table, and then Lance is leapfrogging over Curtis, and they're like flying around the Arrow Cave wildly, and just like, wow, this is a weird episode. I mean, I wanted to play the Benny Hill theme while they were doing that because I think it would match up quite well. I think it was kind of funny. It was really off, really way off. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking with that. Then another negative, flashbacks. Flashbacks were disappointing again. They didn't do anything at all. I mean, you show Ryder that he's got this power, and then that was it. I mean, I think they're doing it. I think the flashbacks have just been stale. I mean, I'm trying to stay interested. Every week I say that I'm trying to stay interested, but it's just like they just keep spinning their tires, and it's just not going anywhere, unfortunately. So it's quite a disappointment. Um, I really wish that they would get to something with this totem and Ryder and this power and what it all means. I have no idea. But I gotta believe it's going to come to a head at some point because they only got like 6 or so episodes left. So Damien Dark in the prison was another disappointment. You have a great villain at the beginning of this season that was so menacing and just great, a great actor like Neil McDonough, and then you put him in prison and he's getting beat up in prison. I'm just like, what has happened to this great villain that now he's been diminished to like just just a throwaway villain on the show? It's just like, what is happening? It really diminished a really great villain. I was really disappointed in the whole jail stuff. And then he's got like this mustache twirling laugh, and it's just like very comical. Um, yeah, I didn't know where they were going with that whole thing, and I think it was just a waste of time. I really do. I think the whole prison stuff was a waste of time. I mean, they didn't even show him doing anything. I mean, I just didn't care much for the prison stuff. In the end, I mean, it showed the him manipulating that guy. I forget his name with the actual stitches in his mouth, but that was it. I mean, that's all they did. I mean, they didn't even touch on that ring that they showed. I think the last episode that he had. I mean, they didn't. talk about that or nothing. So it was weird, really weird. The whole thing at the end with Andy Diggle showing up, I'm not surprised. It didn't surprise me one bit that Andy betrayed the team again. And that was another thing that just it fell flat. It really did. They didn't show enough of the Diggles together. If they would have showed Andy Diggle and John Diggle and Lila and the baby together, working together, or Andy Diggle with Arrow and him working together, and him trying to redeem himself to become a good man, a good, on the side of justice and right, and do everything right by his brother, and them together, I think it would have made it more impactful than when you would have seen him in the car talking to Merlin and betraying the team. You would have been, oh no. I mean, it would have felt something more. There was just nothing there. I'm just like, who cares? I mean, you haven't seen enough of Andy to really care. When was the last time we seen him? Like 3 episodes ago or 4 episodes? I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, there's just no payoff. Unfortunately, just no payoff there to really care about Andy Diggle. I mean, his character, I think, is just a throwaway, another throwaway character. Why is he even there? So it's just like, so I won't be surprised if they kill him. And in the end, I'll be like, who cares? I didn't care. So I'm not surprised at all by that. I mean, there wasn't anything there for me to not be surprised about, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, this episode was a disappointment. Not the greatest episode, but definitely one of the weakest episodes they've done, unfortunately. But hey, guys, if there's anything that I missed that you guys want to talk about, please write in the comments below what you liked about the episode or the stuff that you didn't like about the episode. Please write down in the comments. But that will do it for me for this week for another review video for Arrow. I will see you guys next week. Until then, take it easy.